Welcome, DoorGrow hackers, to the DoorGrow Show. If you are a property management entrepreneur that wants to add doors, make a difference, increase revenue, help others, impact lives, and you're interested in growing your business and life, and you're open to doing things a bit differently, then you are a DoorGrow hacker. DoorGrow hackers love the opportunities, daily variety, unique challenges, and freedom that property management brings. Many in real estate think you're crazy for doing it. You think they're crazy for not, because you realize that property management is the ultimate high trust gateway to real estate deals, relationships, and residual income. At DoorGrow, we are on a mission to transform property management businesses and their owners. We want to transform the industry, eliminate the BS, build awareness, change perception, expand the market, and help the best property management entrepreneurs win. I'm your host, property management growth expert, Jason Hull, the founder and CEO of DoorGrow. Now, let's get into the show. And today's guest, I'm hanging out with Mark Rojas. Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's great to see you again.
So Mark is coming to us from a company called Proper App, correct?
That's correct.
And so Mark, I'll read a little bit of your bio. It says you are the CEO and founder. And it says, while you might not think of hiring a designer to fix an exploding toilet, Mark Rojas might be the man for the job. From starting his own surfboard manufacturing company at 16 to founding multiple tech companies focused on creating positive user experiences, Mark has spent his career working to add value by solving problems of efficiency and human connectivity. An entrepreneur and creative technologist from Queens, Mark is the founder and CEO of Proper, an app designed to streamline the building repairs process. He first began befriending property managers while producing the Venice Art Crawl, a passion project that transformed vacant properties into temporary art showrooms, aka fun free open houses. Shortly thereafter, while subletting his apartment in 2017, Mark was blessed with the invigorating experience of needing to manage repairs for bathroom explosion involving multiple tenants. So why don't you take us from there? Like, help us.
That's a great intro.
So I'll let you tell the rest of this story. So how did you kind of get into this from surfboards?
Yeah, so the surfboards was a little while ago. I was 16 years old, but that did throw me into design, which
Okay.
and really ultimately product design. So my career quickly, like right after college, became into web development, app development, and really working with a lot of startups here in the Bay Area, which is where we're based out of, to leverage design to solve a lot of problems. And it kind of came at the advent of mobile, really becoming this very fast growing platform where your everyday user now is expecting this very seamless experience that is solving various problems for them. So I think that's kind of that transition from building a product, starting a company, and then the continuing to wanting to build products for others. And I think that one of those things that is continues to be a passion of mine is finding a problem and leveraging design to simplify and streamline it and make everyone's life better.
I love it. I mean, I think that sums up that's entrepreneurism in a nutshell.
Yeah,
Is we see a problem and we're crazy enough to think we could solve that problem and we can make money solving that problem and create a win-win. And I love that you say that you focus on doing it through design, because really every elegant solution involves some sort of intelligent design. Whether it's a system, whether it's something visual, and I think people think design, they think it's like graphic design or something
yeah,
pretty.
yeah. I don't think of design as just pixels. I think there's various mediums through which one can apply design,
Right.
and it's really viewing how something works in the real world and seeing how can you create a corresponding experience that can streamline it, that can make it simpler, that can make it more delightful, more efficient, and really give you a lot of your life back, whether that's time or even just joy.
Okay. So what problem then did you really see that you're like, I'm going to create Proper? Uh,
Yeah. So,
Let's really build this problem up.
so the problem really, I had seen it a lot of different facets of my life from being a tenant, but it really became a problem for me when I almost became an accidental landlord. So um, I was traveling for an extended period of time. I had known my landlord for a while, and she was happy to actually let me sublet it. It was like, it's okay. Like, go off. I trust you. Like, and when you come back, it's all good. Um, there's still a certain level of responsibility that was thrust upon me. So as I rented out my apartment, I quickly realized that I'd become a landlord. So 2 days into it, the subtenant called me to let me know that there was a major problem, and I was like, "Oh, what? Like, what's going on?" And it turned out that the pipe above our ceiling under our neighbor's bathroom had burst, and it was, to say the least, is quite a mess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this kind of just set off a flurry of emails, phone calls, text messages between the tenant and myself, the property owner, the neighbors, contractors, plumbers, etc. And it was happening over phone calls, emails, text messages, WhatsApp calls, FaceTime calls. And at some point, I was like, "Wow, this is rather ridiculous." And my design mind immediately started thinking, well,
Broken. This
this
is
is there's,
flawed.
there's
There's got to be a better way than this.
yeah. So my wheels are spinning and spinning and spinning, and I just started designing it in my brain. And then one day I was just whipping my computer, and I just mocked it up, and I was like, I'm going to build this. So I started building it, and I think one thing that is true then, and now even more true now, is we spend a lot of time talking to our users and our customers, and really like dissecting their problems, their processes. And I immediately started doing calls with property managers that I already knew. As you saw in my bio, I knew a lot of property managers because when I started the Venice Art Crawl, which was this kind of crowdsourced art event, we had 40 different art shows going on at the same time in Venice Beach. And the way that I did it is I found vacant spaces, spoke with the property managers, and basically said, I know that I can bring high net worth individuals to these empty spaces, and we can treat it almost as like an open house. So that worked phenomenally well and was creating value for them. So they all basically loved me. So when I started working on this idea, they were happy to talk to me for hours at a time. And what I found is that maintenance is almost like the bane of their existence.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we did a survey inside the DoorGrow Club, our Facebook group. Property managers listening, you should be in there if you have a property management business. So we did a survey, and we asked just a poll, an informal poll in a Facebook group, and we asked, "What's your number one challenge in your business?" And it was the 2 or 3 items at the top of there were 2 or 3 items at the top of the list that were connected to maintenance. It was sourcing vendors, it was maintenance coordination, it was maintenance is the biggest headache or challenge in property management.
Yeah, it's very, very painful, to the point that I actually felt like I was becoming a therapist. And
Right.
I mean, sometimes they would talk to me for like three hours at a time, like just talking about it. And I was like, wow, this is a very real problem. And I was able to take those learnings and really turn them into a product that corresponded with immediately. And then what started off as really just a project, I didn't think, oh, I'm going to become a billionaire off of this. This is my next big thing. This is more, I was traveling, I wanted to start building a product, and I wanted it to not be something that I built in vain, but rather that, could possibly solve someone's problem. And initially it was my problem. And then when I talked to property managers, they actually laughed at me because I was building an app already and only dealing with one maintenance issue while they're dealing with hundreds a month, if not more.
Right.
And it's just
you're building an app for one maintenance issue.
So talking to them just totally validated that this is actually something worth pursuing. And then I just went deeper. I kept talking to them. I started talking to the contractors, the tenants, and I realized that this is a problem on all sides of the equation, and really kind of set out to start building a solution that could really solve a lot of the issues with it, which I think a lot of my history in design has been focused on communication and really making it richer and removing barriers, because essentially a lot of friction and a lot of time wasted happens when poor communication happens.
Yeah.
So, and that's why, it's proper.chat and leveraging chat as a platform to remove a lot of the bottlenecks that happen, like being stuck in between, like, playing whack-a-mole between an email for this contractor, a phone call for that tenant, and really starting to centralize everything where we could remove those bottlenecks. And with the oversight of the property manager, the contractor and the tenant can speak with each other, and anything from scheduling, updates. Hey, I got to go Home Depot and get this part. I'll be back tomorrow. In the world today, the tenant wouldn't know, and 3 days could pass, and that creates frustration and friction for the tenant because they don't know what's going on, and then that means another phone call to the property manager. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, communication in a business, for any business, causes a challenge. Internal communication. So for a while, I had a team of, as I was going from solopreneur to building a team, I had freelancers, and I thought, hey,
Yeah.
this is like so great because I only have to pay them when there's work, right? Like, here's a job, do this work. But the challenge with that is the communication level was just not strong enough. And I didn't realize that until I started getting full-time employees. The communication level is dramatically different when you have somebody that's dedicated, because you're reducing the number of people that you need because there's more, that person is giving you more of their time.
Exactly.
And so, like, 2 people that are doing 10 hours a week versus 1 person that's doing 20 hours a week, I would take the 1 person any day of the week, especially if those 2 have to communicate, right? So because the communication back and forth wastes so much time, and there's always a percentage of loss when there's any sort of communication, period. If there's communication between 2 parties, there are gaps. Like, there just always is. It could be a misread in body language. It could be somebody doesn't understand something. Somebody's a poor communicator. There's some sort of flaw. But if the more you can reduce that, the less friction there is. And so one of my recent hires was one of these unicorns that can do web development and design, because the communication level is way shorter. He can get things done in such a short time. And normally I'm like, I want specialists, but he's able to create something so much quicker because he's not having to communicate and negotiate between another party that doesn't understand what they do. A developer and a designer have 2 different universes, right? But
Absolutely. Yeah.
he was one of these crazy guys that knew both. So I get it. So explain how this helps reduce the communication, and why is this better than all, like, the other stuff that's out there, or what other people have been doing? What's kind of unique about Proper that that you're noticing?
So I think a lot of it comes down to visibility and a shared place for everyone involved with the maintenance to communicate with each other. So where we really differentiate is that we started on mobile. So we're a mobile first solution. We do have a desktop and a web experience for the property manager, but in terms of being able to report, what we notice from a lot of property managers, whether they have Yardi, Folio, you're still getting these maintenance requests from many different places. You're getting from phone calls, emails, text messages. And what we set out to build, and we're building right now, is one place that can centralize all that. And not only centralize it, but make it a more useful format. When someone writes you like a 3-paragraph email that is trying to, and really they're just trying to say, my toilet's broken. But a lot of it is frustration, and
there's all the emotion. They want you to understand their pain. Like, they want you to, so they're like, I've got to relate this. I've got to paint this picture, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
And then part of it is because they've waited too long to write this email. And this frustration has built up, and now they want to write this email. So with our application, which is native, you're able, as a tenant, you're able to create a work order very, very quickly, and it's very visual. So, an image is worth 1,000 words, and it really is in this scenario. Often these emails don't even include images. So a tenant is able to quickly snap a photo, almost like Snapchat or Instagram. You don't have to train anyone. There's literally billions of users on these apps that know how to use this.
Sure.
And they're able to create a work order in under 30 seconds. And the format is not to write paragraphs and paragraphs. It's to be succinct, 140, 280 characters max, and you choose a category. And then this gets fired off to the property manager. You get a notification on your phone or on your desktop. And then from here, you have your contractors that you can add to this conversation. And the idea is that it turns into a group chat at this point, with with the property manager still being involved. And instead of trying to go back and forth between scheduling, instead of the contractor having to ask questions to the property manager to then go ask the tenant to further diagnose what's broken, the contractor is able to immediately see what's broken, because there's always going to be a picture. We pretty much make that almost mandatory for the tenants. And what we've seen from contractors is that they're able to save time and cost by more quickly able to diagnose where the problem is, what tools to bring, what materials to bring. And everything just happens there. And the property manager is still part of the process, but they don't need to insert themselves. And when they insert themselves now, it really takes up a lot of their time. And not only because they have to go back and forth, but often they're fielding phone calls, they're fielding emails. And then this really, really adds up.
Yeah, I love that it's like real, it's prompting them to take a picture, right? Like it's
Yeah. The first step is I want to create a work order, take a picture. That's the first thing.
and a picture's worth 1,000 words. So they're not going to have to write 1,000 words in order to get it across. Like you can see it and you go, okay, like you can fluff it up or make it more dramatic, but I can see it. Like here it is. Or they might do the opposite. They might say, hey, I've got there's a problem with the faucet and it's flooding the whole bathroom, or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
So you can see it. So they send you a picture. So in a lot of apps, a picture is like an afterthought. Like they have to do some serious extra work in order to get a photo into something or to do it. And it's usually like if there's communication, they are like, I've had maintenance companies ask me, like, could you email me a photo, or can you take a picture so we know what to look for, or what type of fixture we need, or whatever. And it slows down the communication significantly.
Totally. And I think there's these kind of added benefits that currently property managers don't have the bandwidth to do. So because the contractor is there, they can easily provide updates themselves. Like, hey, I have this question. Hey, I have to come back. Right now, that has to go to the property manager. Then the property manager has to then tell the tenant. And then often it just doesn't happen. So you kind of have these built-in benefits of transparency that you have with the tenant, which really builds trust, but also stops them from calling you, which once again takes up a lot of your time. And then the very nice thing is that at the end, the contractor is able to close out the job by providing proof that they've done it. So they have to take pictures of it, and then you have these great records of the conversations that were had between everyone, the images at the beginning of the job, the images at the end, and it just creates tons of transparency and documentation that you can have, and it's very easily searchable, filterable later on. And then one thing that we're starting to work on is really reporting. So you can start to really understand, where, the volume of work orders that you're getting, the stages that they're at, the amount of time that it took to complete it, and really like how much time it's taking up for you.
Okay. So, it makes a lot of sense. If you can cut out one phone call, you're probably saving your team at minimum 15, 18 minutes of productivity, simply because one interruption in a team member's day, typically they say costs about 18 minutes of productivity. Even if the call doesn't take 18 minutes, right? So they've got to rebuild the house of cards they were working on, or go back to whatever project they were trying to figure out. So if you can cut down the phone calls, it significantly, even if you don't have that large of a portfolio, it's almost like getting a new team member. If on your team, it's that significant, and people are really expensive in property management businesses. It's the highest cost in a PM business. So now I know what property managers listening to this are going to be thinking. They're going to be thinking, well, that sounds great, but another piece of technology, how is it going to work with my Buildium or my Appfolio or my Propertyware? I've got they've got maintenance requests built into them. Like, how would this work?
Yeah. So in terms of like the different platforms, there are ones that, permit direct integrations, and then we're starting to work with building some of those. But then there's also, we're building a way for you to be able to easily export and start to import some of this data at the end. But I think the difference really is that the maintenance offerings that they have don't create the same level of visibility and don't save you the amount of time. So even if the integration is not there, the amount of time that we're currently saving you and that we're going to continue to increase really, starts to outweigh some of the cons of doing that. So that's the way we're moving through with all these things.
So can you tell us who you're working with to start integrating with yet?
So we have a couple of partners, mostly in the Los Angeles area. And one has about 1,000 units, another 2,000 units. And we're working with both of them. They're both on different platforms and seeing like what's going to be the most efficient way. I think it's not just integration of like with the maintenance, but also I think what's really important here is like their accounting. So we're really looking at accounting and how we can start to streamline with that, because there is one of the things that we've seen with the contractors is a lot of them don't have like a systematic way of not just keeping track of their work orders or invoices, but even just generating invoices. So it takes up a lot of their time. And on the property management side, you're getting all these different types of invoices coming in, totally different formats. And then you're like manually doing double data entry into like all these different systems. And it's kind of a pain because it's like, wait, why is this formatted this way? Or like, so you have this kind of like this hurdle that you're dealing with all these like kind of messed up invoices. So one thing that we're seeing is that there's an ease of use of like our invoice. So a lot of the maintenance techs and workers are actually enjoying using it and starting to use it as a way to create a uniform way of generating invoices for their property managers. So what we want to do is actually make that very easy to export so that you can import it into your accounting system.
Okay, cool. All right. So what are the big questions that people ask about this? What are their like frequently asked questions, concerns? What are the big questions that they're asking so that we cover all the bases here?
Yeah. So some of the questions, let's see, there's quite a few, but I think there's this very kind of chat focused, very simple, clean design. Like there isn't a lot of other platforms that we've seen in the space yet. They're starting to show up, but really there's very few. So I think a lot of people are like, hey, like, do you provide training? Do you have like, how much is training going to cost? Right. And it's kind of,
it's just silly. You're like, do you know how to use instant message or,
yeah,
Facebook
no,
Messenger,
we don't want to like, be condescending like that at all. So we,
yeah, bad sales tactic.
Yeah, we really care about our users. So we offer like, well, we'll train you. And then the funny thing is that we do a demo and after a minute, like we've trained them.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, that demo was the training. So you're now trained.
Yeah.
They're like,
yeah. So if you know how to use like iMessage or any of the other things, it's very intuitive. And that's I think a really kind of core principle of the company is designing something that is not only beautiful, but just extremely, extremely easy to use. Because we don't think that you should be paying us to send somebody out to train you and or that you need to hire some expert to use the software.
All right, so let's go. I'm going to go the devil's advocate on the other side here. So say it's so easy. It's just chat. It's so simple. Why don't I just sign up with Intercom or Help Scout and get a chat tool and take tickets? Like what's different between those solutions and something like Proper?
Yeah, so I think what Proper is really geared towards maintenance and even just like the terminology, the flow, and the understanding of the whole workflow of maintenance getting done is what is unique to us. Because you could theoretically use text messaging to do this.
Yeah.
You could, but the reality is like you can start to use that, but then it very quickly breaks down.
Right.
And it starts to become cumbersome. Like,
Hmm.
if you're using something that you're not, uh, again, so like I think for example, intercom, there's no mobile app, there's no way to really add photos into like what's going on. There's no way to categorize it into the type of problem that it might be related to maintenance.
Okay.
So and then for us is like we provide all those things, but then also you're able to search, filter, and look, zoom in on a property and be like, okay, these are all the work orders. This is how much we spent on maintenance on this property. And as we move forward and we start to integrate with like other systems, that's something that intercom would probably not do.
All right. So they're going to put this chat tool probably on their website, right? So people coming there will, if they have a maintenance request, do they hide it behind just like, here, go here for maintenance and then the chat's there? Or is it something that just across their business? And if so, they've got the maintenance coordination is one side, but they also have lead gen that they're trying to do. They have sales. They're trying to target owners and capture people with their live chat tools. So how do you usually recommend they segregate that, or can proper help uh, with that other challenge as well?
Good question. So the way the application is working right now is that the live chat on your website, if you're using something like Intercom, that is something that we're not providing right now. So
Mhm.
essentially, like what happens is that um, property managers will announce that they're using Proper to their network, share the app, um, and then they're able to install it and then start reporting through there. And it comes into our web app, where web app and mobile app. So you, as a property manager, you can easily use the app from anywhere, but you could also use it at your desktop. And then from
So
there is where they start to field everything.
So Proper works more like an internal tool. You can, when you onboard your new tenants, you can say, hey, get this. This is how you can communicate with us.
Yep.
It's probably not just functioning as the live chat tool that's capturing leads and on the front end of your business, but you
Yeah.
could always take that tool and put links into it or pre-written messages that say, oh, it's a maintenance request, go here.
Yeah.
Or you can
Yeah.
have an intercom, a button that they click that I'm here for maintenance, and it takes them to Proper to take care of that.
Yeah. And I think one of the really interesting things is just we we're starting to build email integrations. So the
Mhm.
initial one that we built is that if you receive an email that's coming in from a tenant and it's maintenance related, we built a Chrome extension where very easily just sends it to Proper, and then turns it into turns it into an actual work order. So you're not actually trying to do double data entry there. And then like the next step of that is making it so that your tenants and contractors actually don't have to join Proper. They can submit things via email, but then you have one place where it's starting to aggregate everything, whether it's submitted directly through Proper or through another channel like email. Um, so that's
Okay.
one of the really exciting features for this next 2 months that we're actually working on. Should be out.
So that'll be similar to Intercom, in which you can have a certain email address like maintenance@businessname.com and have that forward those emails into Proper.
Yeah, it all
Something along
vacuums
those
it
lines.
right up, and then you're able to, as it comes in, you're able
Create
to,
tickets.
categorize it and make it something that is not mixed with your thousands of others emails, but rather
Okay.
centralized and easy to find, just like any of your other maintenance tickets.
Perfect. So, I mean, it sounds like it would make sense for them to have some sort of support solution and still use Proper for the maintenance portion for the back end
Yeah.
and internally with tenants. Okay. Yeah, very cool. So, what other questions then do people tend to ask?
Let's see. So some of the questions, um, I think one of the big ones is really that email integration that I just mentioned. So
Yeah.
that's essentially what we've been doing is just tons of user research and
Yeah.
starting to find like what are the biggest problems and using that as like having it bubble up to the top and turning it into features that are usable to them. So I
So,
think this. Go ahead.
so one of the challenges in maintenance is the communication between vendor and owner is like getting paid, payouts. What if the vendor starts messaging and they're like, hey, property manager, when do I get paid? Here's my invoice. And the end user, the tenant,
Yeah.
seeing this stuff, like, this is there any sort of, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So glad you asked that, because that's literally the feature we're rolling out right now.
Oh, okay.
Like we're waiting for the App Store to approve. And by the way, we're on iOS, Android, and web.
Right.
So the nice thing, I told you, we make it really easy for your maintenance staff or techs to create invoices and generate them.
Mhm.
So we're actually we're about to roll out payments where they're able to get paid through ACH, and really, it's cut out a lot of time for the contractors to generate those invoices, or even like for the property managers to like have to cut checks and all those things, which I still see like very, very frequently happening.
So in the app, the contractor maybe sees something a little different, and they can say, submit invoice, or something like this.
Yeah. So basically, when the contractor closes out the job,
Mm,
they provide proof that they did it, and
okay.
then they're prompted to create an invoice. And then
And a
once,
proof would be another photo, something along these lines, or
yeah, so you're able to add multiple photos as a contractor, and then this then generates an invoice that then the property manager receives. And then this is a separate view where the tenant is not part of it. So they're not anything around cost. They're not seeing this. And then the property manager is actually able to pay via ACH directly to the contractor
cool.
through the app. So there's no need to like go elsewhere and try to cut a check and have anyone like pick it up or mail it or anything like that.
So again, it's reducing a lot of the friction and communication challenges then between the property manager or maintenance coordinator and
Yeah,
the vendors.
yeah. I mean, I think that's one thing that we've seen on both sides of the equation. A lot of property managers are still spending a lot of time just doing payments. And on
Yeah.
the contractor side, they're spending a lot of time generating invoices. So they often don't have like a good system for it. So at the end of the week, they're kind of tallying up all the work that they did. They don't even necessarily have a good system to keep track of all the jobs that they did. So they're often, once again, spending this kind of like admin time where they're not actually getting paid to do that. So what happens now is that with the invoicing feature, although it's very, very simple and intuitive, it actually reduces the amount of time that they're doing this stuff. And they're getting paid, they're able to get paid faster, and they're able to spend a lot less time uh, worrying about this stuff and actually getting more work done, which means your maintenance is getting done faster, which means your tenants are happier, which means you're happier as a property manager because you're hearing less from them. So it's really interesting problem because you have these three different groups of people,
Yeah.
and you're trying to design the simplest solution that takes into account their unique set of problems. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you imagine what would be the ideal situation, so all three parties could communicate the most efficiently, you would just have all three of them sitting in a room face to face talking. Like, hey, you do this, I'll do this. Okay, I'll pay you then. I'll do this. Like, and okay, team, ready, break, right? So it'd be everybody's there. It would be fast, but that's not reality, right? Like we're
Yeah.
trying to run a business, and so is the vendor, and the tenant should hopefully has a job, right? And they're
Yeah.
making some money to pay rent, and like so there's all this stuff going on. We can't just all hang out, but
It,
Proper really creates a room that they can all hang out in and communicate
it's
virtually.
great. Yeah, it's great that you actually put it that way because that's very much how I think about solving this problem. It's when you're in person with someone, it is like the richest form of communication. And if it's a group of people, then the bottlenecks or the walls that exist that are created through distance creates all these inefficiencies. So essentially, like that is actually how we think. That is what we want to be able to create these rooms and make this like very efficient yet rich way to communicate with each other to eliminate a lot of these barriers that are currently costing a lot of time, which equals money, and often just frustration. I think like one thing that one thing I didn't mention here is that I spent a whole year working out of a property manager's office.
Mm,
So you can call it like extreme customer development. And
yeah.
I really uh, understood a lot of their operations, and just so much of their time is spent on communication. But it's
Yeah.
also because they don't have the good tools for it, it just generates a lot of frustration on each side of it. And this is something that's hard to measure. But your quality of life when you're constantly dealing with frustration just really goes down. And I think that
Yeah. That's why there's
that's
a lot
like
of
that.
turnover. I
Yeah.
mean, it's in property, among the property managers that are working for a property management business owner. Yeah,
It's a
it can be really
very tough
difficult.
job. And I think that's of us as a company is to improve that quality of life, because we know how gruesome the job can be, how hard it can be, how taxing it can be. And like if you use our app, it's very colorful. It we we kind of joke around in the copy, and we have like we try to make it not just
Fun.
extremely efficient, but fun. Like we want to make your life simpler, but also inject a little bit of fun into it. And I don't think that I see that very much in the space yet, which is one of the things that I'm very, very, very excited about. Is that I want to bring that to the space.
So some of the things I've seen in some apps lately that people have been doing to gamify things, which is really funny, that once you complete something or you finish something, you'll get like confetti and like balloon noises and stuff like this. Like there's this little celebration. So I'm just going to throw this as a feature request that after a maintenance thing is completed and somebody marks complete, they get boo, and they get this little celebration thing, and it gives them that dopamine boost to get things done and they feel good about it, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's actually something that now that we're starting to mature as a company, and we're getting ahead with like the feature set and the roadmap. That's
Yeah.
something that we actually can bring into it. So, given my product design background, I also know a lot of animators and
Yeah. Yeah.
illustrators. You can see like we have a lot of illustrations. So we very much like want to use those opportunities. Those when you've succeeded at doing something, really just like letting you know. Just like
Even
it
rewarding the
sounds.
tenant for like using the system instead of calling you, like they submit a ticket and you're like, you've done it, like good job. Like
Yeah,
all these little things just create positivity and they add a positive feel to the property management company. I mean, the tenants are usually pretty upset, right? If there's a maintenance request and the vendors are having to deal with that, the property manager. So yeah, anywhere you can add a little bit of fun and get gamification into an app, I think is, we're just
yeah,
making the world a little bit more fun. So
yeah. I mean, it's there's no reason you can't have fun doing this job, and I think that um, that's really like I want to save you time, but if I can just like get you to crack a smile, a
yeah,
couple of times a day, it's not just about saving that time, but it's about being able to continue to do that job and be happy doing it.
yeah. All right, cool. Well, Mark, really enjoyable having you on the show. One thing that might be cool, it would be after maintenance request is submitted, if we did an integration, maybe with Gather Kudos, real super easy, super simple, because we've
Yeah.
got two links, whether they're happy or sad. So for
Yeah,
feedback, you could push them
I'm
to.
totally happy to talk about that stuff.
All right, that'd be cool. So, all right, well, hey, it's really great to have you on. And how can people get in touch with Proper? How can they do a demo? How do they find out more?
Yeah, so we actually created a unique link for the show. So if you go to
Awesome.
proper.chat/DoorGrow, again, proper.chat/DoorGrow, you can definitely learn a little bit about our products, and then very easy to set up a demo with us. Again, the tool's super easy to use, so we are happy to set up a demo with you. Shouldn't take more than 5 minutes. But once you start seeing the product, it becomes very quickly evident how this can start to save you time and also maybe make you smile.
Awesome. All right. So cool. So check that out. Everybody go to I appreciate you setting up that link. That's awesome. So go to proper.chat and slash doorgrow and check that out. And you get a little special perk by being a DoorGrow show listener. And Mark, really grateful for you coming on the show. I love hearing about new technology. I think this sounds really innovative. I think it solves a problem. I think it'll be really beneficial. I'm really excited to see what you guys do in this space and start hearing some feedback from some of my clients on what they think. So
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Thanks for taking the time, and always a pleasure to chat. And I look forward to checking in again soon.
Cool. Yeah, we'll be talking again soon. All right. So I'll let Mark out. And so if you are a property management entrepreneur and you're looking to add doors, you've been struggling, you're wondering why does it feel like there's scarcity in an industry in which 70% are self-managing? There's no scarcity in property management right now. There just isn't, but they're not looking on Google. You're going to have some trouble if your whole goal is just to try and have people find you through Google. There are ways to go out and create business, and we're focusing on that. So stay tuned with DoorGrow. Keep an eye on us. And if you're wanting to grow your business, you're wanting to shore up some of the leaks in your sales pipeline, you're wanting to dial in trust and generate more warm leads and warm business, it's easier to close and have less conversations about price and price sensitivity and comparison to other companies. That's what we do. So reach out and talk to DoorGrow. We'd be happy to help you add doors to your business, figure out how you can optimize your business for growth and creating trust. So again, I'm Jason Hull with DoorGrow here on the DoorGrow Show. I appreciate you tuning in. Please like and subscribe on whichever channel you're hearing this on, whether it's YouTube, iTunes, Facebook, whatever. Stay plugged in and make sure you get inside our DoorGrow Club Facebook group, where we are putting out some this content and where we have an awesome community of DoorGrow hackers like you. So check it out, doorgrowclub.com. And that's all for today, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, to our mutual growth. Bye, everyone.